Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thursday night, I'm just chilling. Hope you guys are having a good week, grinding forward towards your weekend. I went to a chopper show, old school, custom bike show. Choppers, bobbers, vintage bikes, all in one. I go to this show once a year. It's in the parking lot of a tattoo shop that I've gone to and I know the owner of, Willie's Tropical Tattoo. The show is kind of a local show, Florida show. I don't think people really come from around the world to it, but it's grown over the years, especially since the internet has gotten bigger and there's a lot of bloggers or whatever you call them, and people show up with their cameras. So I showed up early, 11:30. The show starts at 11. I thought I was being smart. Oh no, the place was packed. I breezed through, saw the bikes. I did recognize some of the same bikes that show up every year, which is fine. I like those bikes, but I wish there would be some young blood, some new bike builders. I did see one bike that was purple. It was a chopper, purple chopper, done kind of 70s hippie style, and had some nice fabrication to it and looked like a pretty decent bike. I liked it. The handlebars were a little stupid looking, but I'm a handlebar snob since I make handlebars. As I was leaving, about 30 or 50, I didn't count, a giant group of Sons of Silence club members. They're one percenters. They're friendly with the Hells Angels. They showed up. The Outlaws kind of run the turf at the Tropical Tattoo Show. They have their own section even, and it's full of outlaws, kind of in the back. So as I was leaving, that was happening. And we'll see. I don't know if anything's happening. I didn't hear any sirens, so I didn't hear any gunshots. But those are two enemy groups right in the same area. Let's go over some poetry. William Wordsworth, I guess his life was from 1770 to 1850. I have here a book, it's a big book. Literature, An Introduction to Fiction, Poetry, and Drama, the 6th edition, Harper & Collins. I got this at the McGraw bookstore, used bookstore down on Pico in Santa Monica, probably back in, 97, 98, so a couple years ago. This poem was written in 1807. My heart let me get a sip of my tea, get my throat and my tongue going. My heart leaps up when I behold, written in 1807. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began, so is it now I am a man. So be it when I shall grow old, or let me die. The child is the father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety. So what I wanted to dive into just for a second was this one line, 3 lines from the bottom. The child is the father of the man. Now I believe, if I'm right, and I'm no expert, but I do love music, that that's also a Beach Boys song. I'd have to Google it. We're talking about William Wordsworth. You might be able to hear the motorcycles in the background. They're revving all around me. The child is the father of the man. So there's a lot of characteristics that you see in children that carry into someone's adulthood. You may still have some parts of you from when you were a very little kid that still exist now. Behavioral stuff. And some people really want to hold on to that, and they kind of feel like that who they are to begin with is kind of who they really are. And that stays with you forever. And I don't know, maybe there's truth to that. I think we can all relate to something like this. But I'm not sure if I really like the idea of the child as the father of the man, because I grew up weak. I was born into a dysfunctional, awful, traumatic world, and born homeless to a criminal, a murderer, a gang member. My dad was murdered at age 46. Oh, that seemed old. When I was 20 and my dad got killed, it seemed old. He seemed like an old man. I'm 53 right now. Older than my father ever got. 46 ain't shit. That's a little kid, man. You just became a man. You usually don't even reach manhood until you're 40. And when I was a kid, it was traumatic. Watched my dad beat my mom. We grew up in utter poverty. I spent most of my childhood from the time I was born up until, until my 30s, with just one trauma after another, but especially as a little helpless kid. When you get older, you're stronger, you're bigger, you can protect yourself, you can do things. As a little child, you're just thrown into the world that your parents have. So the reactions, the way that I reacted to the world, processed the world, was very dysfunctional, because I was in a dysfunctional world. I was born into a very dysfunctional atmosphere with dysfunctional adults who were all on drugs, overgrown teenagers, could barely take care of themselves. So of course I displayed behavior that was inappropriate, socially inadequate. I was quick to anger, threw temper tantrums, became violent, would beat other kids, and even in preschool, I'd beat your little ass in preschool, stomp you down. I had rage in me because I watched my dad do that to my mom. We lived on the road, homeless. My only friend was my dog. I could go on and on about it. You know, my brother. And I watched this child that I was, this traumatic life that I was born into. I watched that form who I was as I got older, and from 18 to my early 30s, I was largely dysfunctional, an overgrown brat, a troublemaker, go nowhere, do nothing, drug addicted, alcoholic loser who was not trustworthy. And so I don't know if I like the idea that the child is the father of the man, because at some point I had to learn what a man was, and I had to take over, and I had to become the man that I never was, that I always wished that I would have been, the man that I wish my father would have been, to come up with an ideal and try to work towards it. And that's taken me the better part of a decade more. I had to go and dive into the very core of who I was and what I was taught from the beginning. I had a dream one time. I'll never forget it. I believe, and it's just me, you know, you can believe whatever the fuck you want. I believe that dreams are like this weird realm, and you've got to pay close attention to this shit that happens in a dream. I had a Native American Indian talk to me about that. This guy, Martin Fingernail, this shaman, he was like, man, your dreams are real. You can't just discount that shit. And I got a message in my dream one time, and I'll never forget it, and I never understood it. I had to ponder it for, 10 years or more. And it said, it was a message to myself. The message was, if you want it to end, you have to go back to the beginning. And I didn't know what that meant. Just a random message, never knew the context, never understood it, and finally understood it. In order for me to become a man, I had to go back to the very beginning and relearn everything. The stuff that I was taught wrong, the stuff that I copied that was wrong, and relearn it. The stuff that I didn't get taught because my stupid hippie parents were partying, I had to go and become the man that I always wished I was, and to research what that is. Come up with a very clear model and dive into that. So the child is the father of the man, sure, only if you let it. And if you do, you stay that child your whole life. And maybe that's good for you, but for me that wasn't. The only reason why I'm moving forward in my life is because I got rid of that old version, the weak version, the traumatized version, the version my parents created. I create myself. Food for thought.